Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. In Kumasi, we are on Love 99.5 FM and also on over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We are on Swiss FM in Ho, ATL FM in Cape Coast. We are on Radio Max in Takrade, Gaskia FM in Techiman. You can go digital on Spotify, on Facebook, myjoyonline.com app. In this edition, this afternoon, uncertainty over NPP's regional delegates conference in the Ashanti region as the election committee holds a crunch meeting to consider a change in date and venue for the polls.
The Ashanti Regional Elections Committee has decided to change their venue and possibly change their date. Discussions are ongoing, and by midday today, we'll have conclusion.
A similar meeting is taking place in the Volta region to consider a change in venue as well. It's the final day of our build-up, and we'll take a look at what's happening in all the regions today.
Just listen to media. Media is good, but the people who vote, they are not the media people. They are on the grounds. They are the delegates.
I will use my own resources to make sure that 2024 we have menaces in the upper area.
And more than 10,000 calls to 999, that's 999, anti-terror emergency hotline. Majority of them prank, following launch of campaign to get citizens' involvement in the fight against a possible attack. We hear government's plan to tackle hoax calls.
Especially at this time, when we're trying to get credible information out, we will not hesitate to use those laws if persons are found culpable of deliberately misinforming the public with the objective of causing panic and fear.
We have updates from a current training for teachers. Also, former Auditor General Daniel Domelevo wants government to urgently enact a law making lifestyle audits compulsory.
It is necessary we come out with a law which requires Ghanaians to explain where they are getting their money from.
We also have sports and then also Koa mixture to be added to the essential drug list at the various health facilities across the country.
Koa mixture is part of the medicine that have been selected. This means that Koa mixture can now be prescribed in the various health facilities across the country.
And later. One-time winners of the National Science and Maths Quiz, St. Thomas Aquinas, qualifies for this year's national championship with a 40-point gap. St. Mary's SHS and 7 other schools will battle for a place later today. Striving for perfection in spirit, soul, and mind. We have that and more in this afternoon's edition of the Midday News with me, Emefa. Apawu, many thanks for choosing us. As always, we are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Please stay for details. And this afternoon, we start off from the Ashanti region. Also, this is your election headquarters. We're taking a look at the regional delegates conference of the governing NPP, starting from the Ashanti region. It may not come off tomorrow as planned, and the reason is unknown, at least for now. The election committee is currently locked in a crunch meeting to decide the venue and a date for the election. The NPP will hold elections to select regional executives tomorrow and Saturday across the country, and your election headquarters has got you covered on all that. Well, Director of Elections of the NPP, Evans Demako, tells Joy News the outcome of the meeting will determine whether the Ashanti region's election will come off or not.
The Ashanti Regional Elections Committee has decided to change their venue and possibly change their date. Discussions are ongoing, and by midday today, we'll have conclusion to their discussions. In Volta region, where the Dambucho Committee directed that the venue be changed, and this has been communicated as such to the Elections Committee. We are ready to have a very successful regional annual delegate conference. The direction to the Elections Committee is to have broadened engagement. In the meeting of yesterday night, was for the Elections Committee, they are meeting all the 39 candidates who applied to contest for various positions. And that is why I want to put it as I said. And I'm very mindful in all these discussions that it mainly has to do with the actual stakeholders.
Well, he gives an update on the party's preparedness for the election in all the 16 regions as well.
Executives for the new.
Well, we'll get to hear Mr. Evans Nemako shortly. Apologies for that wrong inset there. But Kwesi Che is the Ashanti Regional Director of the governing NPP, and he joins us on the line with details of that crunch meeting that was held today. Mr. Che, what's the outcome when it comes to the Ashanti Regional elections?
What the last part?
Hello.
Hello.
Mr. Che, if you can hear me, I'm asking for updates on the elections for the Ashanti region.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think, let me say hello to everybody. And with the what I can say is that the venue has been changed to the Kumasi Stadium at 7 o'clock on Saturday morning. That is the 20th of May 22.
Mr. Che, please, you'd have to reposition yourself so we can hear you clearly. You're talking about the change in venue, but please, let's try again if you can hear Mr. Che.
Yeah, I'm very clear on you.
Okay,
what
great
I'm saying
now.
is that you are right. The venue has been changed to Kumasi Sports Stadium for the election, Ashanti regional election. That is on Saturday morning at 7 o'clock. That's how it's going to happen. Yeah.
Okay, so the date remains on Saturday. Is that the case? But the venue rather has been changed.
On Saturday in the morning at 7.
But why the change in venue?
And I think that one, it's the decision of the elections committee. That will come out to tell you. Because initially it was planned for the RCC. But after some consultations, the decision was made that the place to be changed. And now, as we speak, it will happen at the Kumasi Sports Stadium on Saturday morning at 7 a.m.
And this has been duly communicated, or is
it
yet to be
communicated? Done this afternoon. I think a communique will be issued. Yeah, that's the information I have. But I know a communique will be issued this afternoon, at least by 1 or 2. A communique will be issued by the committee.
And this is a decision you say would be widely accepted by all the delegates?
It should be. It should be. I don't see why there should be a problem. It should be. If you don't accept it, you just tell us where you want so that we can go and then do the job. Understand? But as we speak now, that is the decision.
Okay.
Before, all we heard was that some people were saying they are not okay with the place that was being held at the RCC. It has been changed to the Kumasi Sports Stadium. So I don't see why anybody will oppose that. I don't see why somebody will oppose that.
But we were told that the election was supposed to be held tomorrow. Is it that that's not the case?
On Saturday.
Saturday, rather. Okay.
As I said, it's Saturday morning.
Okay. Well, Mr. Kwesi Che, we're grateful. And that's the Ashanti Regional Director of the governing NPP. They're giving us updates on the change of venue. It's no longer at the RCC. It's now the Kumasi Sports Stadium. And that will be duly communicated. We are live on Love 99.5 FM as well, so you can hear all the updates on this. But how are things shaping up, though? Let's take you around some of the election centres. First is the centre of attraction. And with the uncertainty surrounding the holding of the polls, the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, Bernard Entwibwe-Siako, Chairman Wontumi, is optimistic his good stewardship will win him a third term as leader of the party. There's more in the following report.
Bernard Entwibwe-Siako, known popularly as Chairman Wontumi, was elected to lead the NPP in the Ashanti region in 2014. He had the mandate to galvanize the party in its stronghold to help the party win power in Ghana's election 2016. With the support of the party members, the region voted massively to bring the NPP to power, retaining the chairman, Wontumi, who ran unopposed. Mr. Entwibwe-Siako touts his performance as regional party chairman.
That since from 1992 to 2016, the elections were different. Or every 8 years, election changes. You know, so the 2016, it's about 2.2 million people voted in Ashanti region. Then we had overall votes about 1.6 million. And I'm increasing votes all the time.
going to have another strategy to break the 8th.
As the NPP gets ready to go to the polls in search of regional leaders, the two-time chairman faces strict opposition from 4 aspirants. Key among them is Odeneho Kweku Apia.
Well, and as NPP aspirants in the Upper East region also prepare to contest for the regional executive positions, they have vowed to recapture all seats it lost during the 2020 polls. The party only managed to hold on to 1 seat in the region in that election. Albert Sorry has more in the following report.
Before the 2020 general elections, the New Patriotic Party had 3 parliamentary seats in the Upper East region. These were in the Navrongo Central, Zebila and Timpani constituencies. The party lost all these seats in the 2020 elections, but managed to snatch the Binduri parliamentary seat from the NDC. As the party gears towards electing new Upper East regional executives on Friday, May 27, aspirants are confident that if given the mandate, they will work towards recapturing the lost parliamentary seats in the region.
Well, elsewhere, 26 aspirants have been cleared to contesting elections in the Bono region. Candidates, including the regional secretary and incumbent Kofi Ofosu-Boateng, continue to engage the kingmakers in the 12 constituencies in a bid to drum home their message. Precious Somerville has more.
A total of 23 aspirants are being vetted to contest the Bono East regional executive positions of the ruling New Patriotic Party. With over 240 delegates from the 11 constituencies in the region set to elect the next batch of leadership to lead the party into the 2024 general elections, Chairman of the Regional Vetting Committee, Nana Obri-Boahen, described the process as smooth and peaceful.
It has been a very smooth exercise, and the cooperation are very good.
Let's bring in the head of our political desk on our coverage of the regional elections of the NPP. Evans Mensah joins me on the line. Evans, so what's the plan?
So beginning tomorrow, all the way to Sunday, across the regions, for the 60 regions, the NPP will be holding elections. Because this is not going to be a day's event, but it's going to be happening over a 3-day period. We're going to be giving our audiences every single day from Friday morning from 6 a.m. all the way to Newsnight Prime and beyond. Coverage on all our regular news outlets. So you need to tune into the 6 a.m. bulletin, the Midday, the Pulse, the Prime News in the evening, because they're going to be giving regular updates from the regions that are going tomorrow. Saturday are the big ones. Accra and Kumasi on Saturday. We're going to have our men on the ground throughout the day on our regular news bulletins, to you all the regular updates, as well as my Joy99.7FM.
You definitely have to stay with your election headquarters. We bring you all that you need to know. Away from it, though, the National Security Ministry says the 999 emergency hotline has recorded more than 10,000 calls since the campaign against terrorism. Under the campaign, citizens had to report suspicious characters through the hotline. But the ministry says majority of the 10,000 calls to the centre have been prank calls. We have a statement on this for you shortly. First, though, here's Information Minister Kojo Ponkruma issuing the warning at a news conference this week.
There are laws in this country that deal with the publication of false news with the intent of causing panic and fear. Those laws are still on our statute books, and especially at this time when we are trying to get credible information out, we will not hesitate to use those laws if persons are found culpable of deliberately misinforming the public with the objective of causing panic and fear. We need to get that out of the window so that people can hear and see what the facts are, particularly on the subject of terrorism, and how they can respond and participate in this anti-terrorism program. Our feedback is that under the COVID-19 education campaigns, we exceeded about 80% public awareness. We are hoping to hit same levels with this campaign, but that can only come from a sustained engagement with the public and with stakeholder groups, and through you, our colleagues in the media. If we get that, we'll be able to hit 80% and above.
Information Minister Kojo Ponkruma there speaking to my colleague Samuel Limbura. Well, let's get details of that National Security Ministry statement. And Fred Smith, Joy News editor, joins me in studio with details of that. What do we know?
Emefa says that preliminary checks at the emergency call center indicates that in the first 30 hours following the launch of the campaign, over 10,000 calls have been made to that center, of which majority have been prank calls and calls to verify the operationality of the call line, a development that has culminated in long call queues and delayed response to calls made to the center. Whilst the ministry assures the public of the effectiveness of the call center and encourages same to report all suspicious persons and behavior, we beseech all and sundry to desist from making prank calls to the center, as doing so undermines the ability of law enforcement to effectively respond to the actual crisis.
Thank you very much. Fred Smith there, Joy News editor, with details of that statement from the National Security Ministry. Now, Civil Engineer Abdullahi Mahama says human activities only contribute 5% to the choke gutters and drains, which is being blamed partly for the perennial flooding of Accra and parts of the country. President Akufo-Addo, at a dredging event yesterday, called on the citizens to desist from activities that contribute to flooding as he announced a set of measures, including sanctions and demolition of structures to end the challenge.
Government, since 2017, has spent some 450 million cedis on the flood control program, which has resulted in reduced incidents of flooding, particularly in the major flood-prone areas in Accra, such as the Odo Drainage Channel. Phase 5 of the Accra Sanitary Sewer and Stormwater Alleviation Project, which is intended to ensure that Odo Channel is free of silt and debris, has been commissioned. Indeed, the construction of 19 kilometers of drains has been completed, while some 1,000 kilometers of drains have been excavated, rechanneled, and maintained across the country.
Well, we can also hear from Civil Engineer Abdullahi Mahama, who says the problem goes beyond the President's observation. He wants government to listen to expert advice to end the flooding.
We can pardon or we can accuse Ghanaians for disposing of refuse, polythene bags, and the likes that float on the surface of the water. Right. But emphatically, nobody dumps sand, silt, in the raining water. The velocity of the water itself carries all those things along the bed of it. So if the Odo is filled with about 60% plus of the silt, you don't blame the citizenry. You blame officialdom who are neglecting an advocacy that we've been having over the years. Odo had been lined, so obviously that area will not erode any silt into it.
Well, that's Civil Engineer Abdullahi Mahama. Let's take a look at the government intervention so far because we are expecting more rains, according to the GMET. Technical Director with the Works and Housing Ministry, Dr. John Kisi, thankfully joins us on the line. We are grateful for your time here on the Midday News. So looking at the Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development projects, for instance, let's talk about the projects that we've undertaken so far to end the perennial flooding. Hello, Dr. Kisi.
Hello, Emefa. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for joining us once again. I'm talking about the projects that you've undertaken so far to end the flooding.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, and good afternoon to your listeners and viewers. So the Gary project, for short, is an intervention that is going to be focused on the Odo River Basin, which takes its source from Ebri and runs through, the city, through the Kore Lagoon and then into the sea. Now, this is a project that is under development. It's not a project that has been implemented yet. There are two main approaches. We have the structural interventions and non-structural interventions. So I will take you through the structural interventions that will help mitigate flood risk going forward. So we building detention ponds in Atomic, two of them. Basically, the volume of water running down Ebri through the city is huge, compared to the capacity of the drainage channels we have. So we want to hold large volumes of water, hundreds of thousands of cubic meters in two ponds. And the intention is to release the water so that it will flow slowly downstream, and that will help reduce the volume of water that runs downstream to cause flooding that we experienced over time. Then we are also expanding the capacity of existing drains. So Kaneshi, as we've observed in recent times, the drains that we have there do not have the capacity to hold the volume of water that's supposed to be carried. So we would be building much bigger drains in Kaneshi. And then Nima too is another one that has been a source of concern for us, and we would be expanding the capacity of the drain at Nima. The angle at which the Nima drain enters the Odo is also a problem. It's about 90 degrees at the moment, and we are going to realign that. Ashimota Abofu is another one. So, I mean, I can go on and on and on, but in a nutshell, so we have these
but it appears all these structural interventions that you talk about under the Gary project, it's a 5-year project. You tell us that it has not taken off just yet. Then how do we get interim solution to the flooding situation?
So it hasn't taken off in the sense that we are not on the ground constructing at the moment, but it has taken off in the sense that we are designing, because you go to design interventions before you implement them. So with the structural intervention, we are at detailed design stage where we are actually reviewing the designs that our consultant has provided for us. And we're expecting that by the end of this year, at the latest, we'll be on the ground constructing these priority interventions. So not that nothing has happened. The designs have been done or ongoing, and we'll be hitting the ground in the next few months. Now, with respect to structural interventions, one aspect is also dredging. That's part of our structural interventions. With that, we are almost at the tail end, or we are almost at the end of the procurement process. We have done our evaluation, technical and financial evaluation. We presented our report to the bank, awaiting their no objection. Then we can sign the contract and fix the commencement date. Now, what's interesting about that is that we are adopting what we call the performance-based dredging, which the contractor is not paid based on volume, but keeping the channel performing. Mm-hmm. I heard one of the experts saying earlier on about the silt levels in a channel. The rate at which silt built up in your door, when you dredge one side and you move on to the other side, by the time you finish, the first part you did is already silted. So we adopting a new approach called performance-based dredging.
Okay. Well, Dr. John Kisi will set up and then we'll have a longer discussion on this. We have limited time now. We are grateful for your time. That's the technical director with the Works and Housing Ministry. My colleague, Justice Bedu, has also been to the Ramsar site at Sakumono. We'll bring you more on that subsequently. You're still listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. We've been looking at the uncertainty over the MPP's Regional Delegates Conference in the Ashanti region. Hearing from the communications team, we've been told that the venue has been changed. Also, more than 10,000 calls to 999 anti-terror emergency hotline, majority of them prank, following launch of the campaign to get citizens' involvement in the fight against a possible attack. When we return, we have sports, and former Auditor General Daniel Domelevo wants government to urgently enact a law making lifestyle audits compulsory.
It is necessary we come out with a law which requires Ghanaians to explain where they are getting their money from.
Coa mixture to be added to the essential drug list at the various health facilities across the country. That and more after this break.
Yama Wakwaba, ba Akwaba Magic Busia, brand new channel, Tia Roba, Emuno Tiao, Ewo DSTV channel 149, and Go TV channel 108. Enianom Akwaba Magic Busia, Eddie Nidia Ghanaian programs mu Baufi, Ebit said to have and to hold, and Yom Senior Cassia, series any talk show, Bemoaka TV sets Nichi, Akwaba Magic Busia, Ewo DSTV access to your 50 Ghana cedis per any Go TV value to your 25 Ghana cedis per Ebusia Akwaba.
Hey, Efo, what brings you to my house this early morning? I hope all is well.
All is never well with me or my brother. After paying 3 times for the land for my project, the construction workers are giving me wahala. From material overestimation to small steering and excuses from artisans. Charlie, I'm tired though. Works that can be done in 2 weeks are done over 2 months. I have to pay them whether the work is good or not.
I told you so, Efo.
It's all because you're trying to become builders when you're corporate workers and business people. Edlom has products tailored to meet your needs. Villas 3 at Amrahia, where there are finished homes with very flexible payment terms. For more information, please visit edlomhousing.com. Send an email to sales@edlomhousing.com or simply call 0270-166-166. Edlom Housing, where spacious and quality homes cost less.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's do sports. Muftal, what do we have?
The Black Stars technical team have assembled 33 players for the upcoming African Cup of Nations qualifier against Madagascar and Central African Republic, as well as a four-nation tournament that will take place in Japan. So there are some notable names. Andrea Yu makes a return to the Black Stars team after missing out in the last World Cup qualifiers against Nigeria. There's also a place for Bristol City's Semenyo, who also comes in. And there's a place too for Accra House of Oaks, talisman in the person of Daniel Afriyebania. These are the players caught up for the games.
Interesting lineup there. Now, former Auditor General Daniel Yaodomelevo is demanding a new law that will empower the state to conduct a lifestyle audit of Ghanaians. This is to identify unexplained wealth and stop the stealing of public resources. His call follows recent concerns about the acquisition of massive wealth by some government officials. He's been speaking to Raymond Akwa on Upfront.
There is a need, or the urgent need, for lifestyle audit. It is necessary we come out with a law which requires Ghanaians to explain where they are getting their money from. There are some people, you will agree with me, that they don't have any well-paid jobs, or they have not been in office long enough to accumulate a fraction of what they have. These people may have to account to the nation and explain how they got their money. If these monies were not even earned through corrupt means, at least they might have evaded taxes, so they may have to pay tax. In some jurisdictions, declaration of assets and lifestyle audit.
Daniel Yaodomelevo. The full interview is on YouTube, all our social media platforms. You need to catch it. It's that interview with Raymond Akwa on Upfront. Another edition comes your way this evening. Now, the Ministry of Health has hinted it has intentions of adding Koa mixture to the essential drug list at the various health centers across the country. This was reviewed by the Deputy Health Minister, Mahama Asei Saini, at the relaunch of Koa mixture in Accra. Mausi Numo has more in this report read to you.
The Ministry of Health says adding the Koa mixture to the essential drug list is part of its measures to improve universal health care delivery in the country. Deputy Health Minister Mahama Asei Saini says this will enable the various hospitals to prescribe the Koa mixture to patients.
I'm aware engagements are going on at the various levels with stakeholders in order to ensure the successful implementation of this policy, which began in 1988. Koa mixture is part of the medicine that have been selected. This means that Koa mixture can now be prescribed in the various health facilities across the country.
The Deputy Health Minister assured herbal medicine manufacturers of government's commitment to providing an enabling environment for them to compete with orthodox medicines. This forms part of measures to ensure the well-being of all persons in order to achieve Sustainable Development Goal 3 by 2030.
It's time for Tech Thursday, and Google asking mobile phone users to share their experiences of a place they've recently visited has helped many to track their movements and generate memorable moments. A computer scientist at the Ghana Technology University, Professor Quist Afeti, is asking internet users to be mindful when sharing these files. For Tech Thursday, Love FM's Kwesi Deborah has been speaking to him.
According to Professor Quist Afeti, sharing pictures or videos on social media, especially WhatsApp, should not be in the form of a document in order to protect one's information.
Information to be obtained by people, they send it as a normal image. So you just send the image via WhatsApp, you don't send it as a document. But when you send it as a document, it maintains all those meta information and it maintains the exact original file that you've picked from your machine. So also for Facebook, also the same thing. You can post a picture on Facebook and Facebook automatically processes the picture before making it visible for people.
That's Professor Afeti there for Tech Thursday. And guess what? St. Thomas Aquinas School has qualified for this year's National Science and Maths Quiz Championship after beating their opponents, well, Adai SHS, Kimbu SHTS, and Presby SHS Adla with a 20-point gap. And it's very much expected. There's more in this report.
So anybody who downloads
and steadfastness we tread the footsteps of our patron Saint Aquinas, Saint Aquinas. We plead with you to lead us, Aquinas.
You should be expecting a national championship.
You should expect more better performance. By the grace of God, we know we are going to do well in the following contest, and we are coming back stronger and stronger.
Just expecting a win because these national championships, we are winning the Accra championship. We are just
We'll see how it goes at the National Championship. And that's how we end today's edition of the Midday News on Joy99.7 FM. On myjoyonline.com, there's more news. Another rainstorm to hit Accra, Cape Coast and other towns tonight. You've been warned. And also more public officers are going to be caught in this web. Martin Pebu on investigations into Sir John's will. Privileges Committee to commence sittings on absentee MPs today. We have coverage of that. I am Emefa Apawu. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Living Word with Pastor Mensel Tebel is up next.
Joy 99.7 FM, radio for the discerning listener. Joy 99.7 FM, radio for the discerning listener.
Hello, please, am I speaking to Miss Joanna Kuma?
Yes, please.
My name is Philip and I'm calling from MTN. Someone has just sent you money and we will need you to enter your PIN number so that we can put the money in your account.
Hey,
oh dada, MTN will never ask you for your PIN. Never reveal your PIN to anyone under any circumstances. And if you are not sure, always check the number.